Hey, what's up, you guys? It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys. This is going to be the predictions for October part 2 of the weeks to come, months to come. This is going to be part 2. So, before we do get started, I always harmonize the energies to protect my energy, my space from all the bad juju. And before we do get started, I want to let you guys know that you guys can purchase spiritual sprays like that on my Etsy shop. There's a lot of good items in terms of 7-knot bracelets, in terms of evil eye bracelets, candles, and a lot of different items. Go check it out. I'll leave you 3 links in the description below so you guys can check out my Etsy shop. I'm going to leave you 3 links. The links are going to be my Etsy shop, my social medias, and on my Instagram, I do daily horoscopes. So make sure you follow me on my Instagram. And to book a reading with me or contact me, okay? But this video has been very difficult for me to film. There's a lot of difficult energies. There's a lot going on, so it does take a toll on me. So bear with me, okay? So first thing that I want to tell you is that the card of the Wheel of Fortune told us war, a shift in power, radical changes. But it also tells us, and they've been showing me that there's going to be geopolitical changes. They say that the geopolitical is going to change, or there's going to be changes in terms of geopolitical. The other thing I want to tell you is the eclipse. The eclipse that is going to happen on the 14th is going to move the energies very radically. The card of the moon and the card of the sun is the energy of the eclipse. And the moment the sun hides behind or hides, it's the energy of God hiding, which means it's going to raise a lot of violence. Around the 14th or after the 14th, there's going to be a lot of violence. There's going to be a lot of radical movements in terms of natural disasters. In terms of earthquakes, the earth moving. Earthquakes, I've already told you, I see earthquakes in the US, Latin America, Mexico, and Asia. So definitely I see a lot of movement of energy around those areas. And in terms of climate, it's going to be moving radically in terms of hurricanes, intense storms, floods, in terms of possible tsunamis. Possible tsunamis. I couldn't remember the word. Sorry, it wasn't a pause for a dramatic effect. I couldn't remember the word. Possible tsunamis. So that's something that I wanted to share with you guys. The other thing that I'm seeing is that I see a problem with a boat. I see problems with a boat. It's very, very interesting because they show me a problem with a boat or a problem with a ship, a boat sinking, or a ship sinking. And it seemed to be too important for me not to share with you guys. In terms of the war that started between Israel and Palestine, Gaza, Hamas, all of that war's been going on for a long time, and those are holy wars, those are spiritual wars, which means that the eclipse is also presenting itself in terms of this war. The angels and demons are going to be facing off. The good and the bad is going to be facing off. So there's going to be a lot of movements radically. What do you normally see? Earthquakes, movement, natural catastrophes, or lots of violence for us to be aware. And in terms of the war between Israel, Hamas, Gaza, Palestine, it's going to bring a lot of radical movements as well. In terms of that, it's showing me that the violence is going to move worldwide. Is something that I wanted to tell you guys. The other thing that I want to share with you is that war is a holy war, and all we can do is pray. We can pray to calm those energies down and to raise the vibration. And that war, in the moment that there's wars like that, it's going to cause scarcity in terms of resources, scarcity in terms of food, in terms of things that we get from other parts of the countries. I see an explosion. I see an explosion either in Asia, probably because of what's going on, an explosion in Asia, an explosion in Australia, or an explosion in Europe or the United States, an explosion in the United States. But the other thing that I see is that I see a building collapsing, a monument collapsing, a house collapsing in the US as well. I see a lot of protests and violence. So in terms of protests in the United States, I see protests or riots, something that I was just seeing. And in terms of protests, I had already told you that I saw protests everywhere. And then I see a health crisis. I see a health crisis, the energy of death, shows me a health crisis, in terms due to corona, new sicknesses, or new variants of corona. But I see something moving worldwide towards the end of October. We start seeing it. Or I'm seeing something moving, and it looks like it's more towards the end of October. Either corona starts to rise, new variants pick up strength, or a new sickness. And I do see a lot of violence that we have to watch out for. In terms of violence, I see terror attacks in general. In a church, a place of spiritual practice, or a school. And in the US, I see terror attacks as well. In the US, I see terror attacks, and specifically I see terror attacks in a school, in a church as well, place of business, place of spiritual practice. So it's something that we have to watch out for. In the moment that the US got involved, terror attacks are going to begin to move again. And I see changes to borders. For some reason, I'm seeing changes to borders. I see changes to borders. I don't know what it is. I just see either borders closing due to health issues, or a lot of changes coming to borders in terms of traveling as well. And in terms of terror attacks, specifying it, I see terror attacks in the US, Europe, Asia. And then in terms of violence, I see a lot of violence in Europe, Asia, and the United States. I don't know what it is about Europe. I just know that with that plague that they're dealing with, in terms of those bed bugs that are everywhere, that's a plague, and something strong is moving in Europe. And I see catastrophes in Africa and the Caribbean as well. See catastrophes in Africa and the Caribbean. And I do see another death to an artist, which I also said it in the beginning of this month, that I see that there's going to be another artist passing away. And that's already in that other video. In terms of Biden, I see Biden's health, that he needs to take care of himself, because I see him having problems with his health once again. And then I see a death to somebody in a position of power. I see a death in somebody in terms of leader, or world leader. In terms of the US, I see floods, Latin America, floods, lots of water, in the Caribbean as well. And I don't know why I saw this, but I did see it, and I want to share it with you guys. I saw a lot of death. Coming either worldwide, but not only worldwide. I also saw a lot of death in the US, like I've never seen before. And in this death, what I'm understanding, it seems like it's either through natural catastrophe, tragedy, or a terror attack. But other than that, you guys, I believe that's it. That's everything that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. But definitely the energies continue very strong. They're still, this year we're going to end it very strong, and there's still more strong things to come. So definitely we need to pray to calm these energies down, because I'm telling you right now that they've been bombarding me with all these energies, and it's been very overwhelming with everything that I feel and see, and I don't even know how I can share it. Sometimes I want to share stuff with you guys, but I feel like it's too much, so I try not to. But other than that, you guys have a great weekend and day and night wherever you're watching me, and it's always a pleasure. Bye-bye.